This week, we're taking a deep dive into Metroid Prime 4. Is the new entry in the beloved series worth it? And was it worth the 8 years it took to get here? We'll be discussing that and a bunch of other games that we've been playing on this week's HGO Podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO Podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
Level with me here, be real. What do you think is more surprising? The fact that we had to wait 8 years for Metroid Prime 4, or the fact that it's been as controversial as it actually has been when it's come out? Because, my goodness, I feel like this game has ignited a random fire that I was not expecting in the start of December, dude. Like, this is crazy.
You know, it's weird, too, because it's one of those things that it's only controversial because it's slightly, at least according to the people who have already played it, slightly above or under what had come before it.
It's an interesting one, right? Isn't it? And I think
Like,
it's
I feel like anyone who's coming into this series on their own would probably think that so far from what I've played that this game is just fine.
I mean, we'll get into it. I'm basically that opinion. It's interesting, right? It's like, it's one of those games that it's one of those echoed games that you hear about all the time, your Half-Life 3 is your, Metroid Prime 4 was one of those, where it's like those games that, yeah, we'll definitely get one day. And I think it's just that 8-year gap. We'll talk all about it, but my goodness, I did not expect this game to come out and to be as volatile as it is. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping right on that explosion and riding that wave. We'll see what happens, I guess. Because this week we've both played Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and we're going to be talking all about it. We'll give you our first impressions, whether we think everybody is bang on the money, what's happening, is the motorbike as bad as people are saying? We'll talk about it all in a minute, I guess. It's the calm before the storm. It's the week before Jeffmas, and all through the house, everyone is screaming about Metroid and nothing else. And so that's what we're gonna do.
Even the mouse.
Even the mouse, dude. Even the mouse is screaming. So yeah, we might, if we have time in the second half, talk about a couple of games that we've also been playing as well. Beforehand. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new here, welcome to the show. This is the HGO Podcast. We're here every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time on podcast services everywhere and at youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only. A bit of housekeeping for you. Our Game of the Year hype cycle has begun. Right now on the website, at hotgamersonly.com, you can read Kyle's top list of Games of the Year 2025. The following Sunday, that's this Sunday, is my list, and then the week after that is Hunter. Now, I know what you're thinking, guys, it's always been Kyle, Hunter, then Ethan. What's happening? Well, here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter needs to finish Metroid Prime to make his list. Ethan doesn't, okay? Ethan doesn't. Ethan's fine. Ethan can thrive and just write it this week, happily knowing that Metroid Prime will not make the top 6. I'm not saying that's not indicative of what we're going to talk about today. That's just my top 6 is already locked. This year's been Ethan coated enough, I've had enough of the games that I love to fill that list plentifully. So it'll be coming to you this Sunday, and then the following Sunday it'll be Hunter's turn. So many games. It's gonna be a fun one, I'm sure. And then obviously we've got reviews coming up still through this holiday season. Hunter's got a review coming out in the near future, so look forward to that. And then obviously the Game Awards this week, we'll be covering it next week on the podcast. So yeah, this Thursday, get your popcorn ready, get your melatonin ready as well if you needed to sleep from the nightmare that is the Game Awards sometimes. A week out, Hunter, higher or lower, dude? What's the monument in the desert? What is it, Hunter? What is it?
I mostly ignored whatever speculation this is. Like, I saw the thing. Like, I looked at the little statue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Darksiders 4 got confirmed a while ago. It seems like something that could be.
Yes, people are saying it's something that's not announced. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
Keep your eyes peeled, I
yeah,
guess.
I
I
don't
hope
know.
that's not the big reveal. I hope that isn't what we're waiting for, is a monument in the desert, dude. That's why I don't like. My goodness.
Photorealistic journey.
Yeah, we can dream. We can dream. But no, plenty of stuff coming up on the website as we go through the holiday season and on the YouTube channel and podcast as well. So if you'd like to join us, we'd very much appreciate it. Uh, let's just get straight into it. Topic of the show, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. We have been playing it. It is a game quite literally 8 years in the making. It has been in development for 8 years. So, on and
Yeah.
off. Um, Hunter, what's your history of Metroid Prime?
Well, I played the remastered version a couple of years ago, like
Mhm.
when it would have been 2023 when that came out for the Switch was the remastered port,
Yeah, yeah.
and I thought it was pretty impressive, especially considering, the time in which the game originally came out and
Yeah, for
all of
how
those
old of a
things
game it
that seemed,
is. Yeah.
yeah. And then all those things that seemed like they would have been details that got added in the ported version that just happened to be there before. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, whoa, I wouldn't have guessed that. But yeah.
Yeah. Never played 2 or 3?
No, never had the occasion or chance. I'm sure I'll get to two if they ever put it on the Switch's online library. I'm out of luck with three since that's on the Wii, and I forgot about that when the notion about two occurred to me before. I was like, oh no, wait. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure that game's super expensive too.
It's always gonna be a weird one. I don't think anybody will truly ever I don't think we'll ever get an answer to why they didn't do 2 and 3 as well. They've had that much time, and I think that's, it's interesting that they did Prime Prime the Prime trilogy being remastered was a leak and rumor for multiple years, and then we just got the first one, and then we're like, "Oh, maybe we'll get 2 and 3 separately afterwards," and we never did, and now here's 4. Um just kind of sitting there happily going, "We're telling our own story." And I'm like, "Well, why is it Metroid Prime 4 then? If it's a new trilogy, you should have just given it a new, you should have just, I don't know. It's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
weird, especially because like the structure of the gameplay so far is different enough that I don't think you'd need to keep the subtitle either, aside from the fact that it's in first person and it's a 3D game.
It's interesting. It is. My history is very much similar. Never played a Metroid game until Dread. Really liked Dread. Picked up the Prime remaster. Played it for about 2 or 3 hours. Got stuck on a checkpoint that was really bad because that remaster did a lot of things. One of the few things it didn't fix were some of the abhorrent checkpoints in that original game. And there
Yeah,
were other
that
games.
is
There were
true.
other games that released around the same time because I picked up the physical copy, so it came out a couple of weeks later, and games were starting to creep back in
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah.
So I had to bounce off. Um, I did say to myself, I'll go back at some point. I never have. Um, but I've hopped into Prime 4 with an open mind, I guess. I was like, I'm interested to see what they do because, the hype cycle for this game has been, it really has been a roller coaster of ups and downs. You had, Nintendo 2017, what a year, and just to get to E3 and them to go beep, beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 Metroid Prime 4 in development, and you're like, oh my god, the train doesn't stop, the train's hit the station. This and Bayonetta 3 at the Game Awards. Wow, 2019's
Yeah.
looking sick. Oh wait, yeah. Literally 8 years later, here it is. Stopped development in like 2020, 2021, repicked it back up again with Retro, um, and here it is. Um, it's an interesting one. So I've played around 3.5 hours of this game. Hunter, how much have you put into it?
Like 4 or 5. I don't
Um,
know. The game's like the little pause screen on the game's timer is not accurate at
it's
all. It's
wrong.
claiming I
Yeah.
only played for two.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, does it only count I don't know what it counts because it's not like I've died either, so
Yeah.
I don't know what it counts as game time and what it counts as, not. It's it's like a PlayStation timer, dude. Like, I don't know what it's doing. But yeah, so I've got 2 keys out of the 5. That's where I am at the moment. I've been in the desert. I got a fire beam, and then I'm off somewhere else. I'm in the middle of an ice world at the moment. That's kind of where I am at the moment. This is such an interesting game because it's been a weird year, hasn't it, Hunter? And I feel like
Yeah.
this game kind of feels like the cap on a very weird year for Nintendo, where it's like, I cannot fundamentally say that this game is bad. I fundamentally can't. The soundtrack I'm really liking. The atmosphere of this game is
Oh, yeah.
really superb. I think it looks great. It's a very clean Switch 1 game, and I say that as a compliment. I think that it's, it fits the world of Metroid Prime. It very much looks like a spiritual successor to the Prime trilogy. It's just, it feels like a Wii game. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like, I don't know if I was wrong to expect this to be what is a. I went into this thinking that what they were going to do, Hunter, was this is Metroid Prime with all the learnings of first-person shooters over the past 15 years since a Metroid Prime game. And what I seem to have gotten when I have played it is, this feels like a very 2006 first-person shooter. And I mean that in a good way, in terms of, I kind of like the exploration aspects, and I like the fact that you're kind of just, until like 4 hours into it, you're left to your own devices, and then the game just decides, hold your hand, it's too complicated, take it back. But my God, the game at times does not feel very fun to play. It just feels like I'm spamming the trigger just because the game's like, nah, 20 bullets till they die, 20 bullets, keep on firing, buddy, keep on firing. There's a bit in the
It feels like the
electric...
missiles
Yeah,
don't
go
do
on.
that much to mitigate it either.
No,
Is
not at
the
all.
problem.
There's literally an area of the second kind of area you go to. There's literally a whole tower where it is go into an elevator, get ganked in a
Locked
boss fight, doing
encounters.
to go down
Yeah.
in an elevator, get ganked in a boss fight, go down, oh wait, no boss fight, that's because you're gonna have 2 on the way back. And it's just like, I'm just sitting there and I'm going, this feels, when I don't remember if you remember, but Retro, it came out in 2020, 2021, that a lot of 343 developers had moved onto Retro and moved into here, moved on to work on Metroid Prime 4, and you can tell.
That explains our sidekick.
Yeah, you can tell, because it explains a lot about this game.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things, because as far as the combat and whatever, it is very, if they give you more than 3 things in an encounter, it starts to feel a little tedious. I think that the first boss I did, I felt was fine, except they could have done with. I feel like they could have cut out the middle phase of that first boss.
Dude,
But
I'm
aside from
telling
that, I thought
you,
that was fine.
that first area, I'm not talking about the tutorial. I think the tutorial, the first 10 minutes, I think is absolutely awful. That does not feel, here, drop into a battlefield. Oh wait, no, it's not really. It's just you walking past the battlefield and then a boss fight where you still haven't really got grips with the controls.
My favorite part of that was when they bring in the giant mech or whatever, and then someone's like, "Hey, Samus, we need your help." I'm like, "My help? What do you mean? There's a giant robot right behind you.
You've got the mech, please chill." But that first, it's from the first trailer, right? That first area, the green area, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it's called off the top of your head? It's something green.
Fury Green.
The Fury Green, thank you. That first area, I think, is great. I was playing it, and I'm like, this is a good tutorial level. This is good, it's fairly linear, which is something that I understand that a big draw to Metroid Prime is the figure it out. Okay, I can't make any progress this way. Let me use an ability to go back and figure it all out. But I was like, this is great because it's a good starting area to get you thinking about that. And then they give you little nerdy McGee who starts telling you everything, and then you realize every level's super linear, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Like,
You
it's
know,
it's
I'm not so far anyway. I'm not super bothered by that. I
I'm
realized
not
that's like
either.
heinous to say to a
Hmm.
purist of the mostly because I think that the Metroidvania formula as it is, like, go and explore, bash your head off the wall hoping to find something. I
Yeah.
think that works much better in the 2D format. I think that I'm more willing to give my time to something like Super Metroid to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks to find progression than I am something like Metroid Prime where it takes a lot longer to, you know, the act of experimenting to find these solutions just takes longer.
I 100% agree with you. But I also think that this is like it's almost gone too far in the other direction where this is literally a corridor shooter where it's like there is there's no two paths, there is no, oh, I'm going to go down this side thing to try and explore there. It is literally you will get like hard locked, or it's like, okay, here's one separate room because there's an ammo upgrade in here that you can get if you feel like it, and it's just like it doesn't feel like I'm exploring anywhere, really. Like that second, that the electric towers, I went into that area, I'm like, oh, this has got like such a cool atmosphere. And then I get
Yeah,
in
it does have
there
a really
and it
cool
literally
vibe.
is just 20 lifts and a couple of boss fights, and you're like, oh, and that's a fifth of the game? Because with
I
like
really the first tower in that area kind of baited me a little bit because I liked the notion of going having to go down while it was turned off and then having to come back up while the
yeah,
electricity's on
same.
and you have to like have paid attention to everything. But then you get to the next tower and it is just here's some mechs to fight.
Yeah,
Here they are again.
and then you get to the third one and it becomes blooming motorbike tutorial, which we'll get to the bike in a bit. Um, but what I mean by that, Hunter, is, it's like, yeah, I feel like there was talks with like we need to streamline stuff, but also we definitely need you. Like, there's a part of the game where the game opens up where where your little nerdy friend goes, "Hey, here's 3 places for you to go to. Actually, uh-oh, because I went to the fireplace first. It was like, actually, uh-oh, no, you can't do any of the fire bit, but you get a fire upgrade. Now drive all the way back to me, back in the first area, so I can upgrade your weapon for you, now that you've got that little bit. And then go and try and find somewhere else." And I'm just like, wow, this feels very GameCube, where it's like, oh, I understand, Metroid Prime games, they're not that long. Usually they're like 12 to 14 hours, right? Like, it's not a particularly long experience. But my God, are you padding this? Where it's like, in a modern game now, it would be, oh, I've got the fire gun. Like, I've got the piece of the fire weapon. I've now attached it to me, and I'll go to the ice place. But this is like, no, grab the fire thing, go back to the green area, get a guy, watch a cutscene, watch the guy do that for you. Now walk out of the green area and go off on your way. It feels like they felt like they had to do that because it's a Metroid Prime game. It felt like
Yeah,
that was
and
a necessity.
having Miles there to tell you all of that instead of making you come to that conclusion yourself is also, I feel like, cheapens the deal just a little bit. Because, like, Metroid is prone to that kind of thing here and there. Like Super Metroid, there's a part where, you get to the place with the crazy amount of heat before you have the
Yeah, yeah,
Varia suit or whatever,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, can't go that way. Go back to one of the other places that I can explore, and like it feels a lot more gratifying to come to that conclusion yourself. I feel like
But that
even
the
if
this
having
game really
Dweeb tell
has,
you
yeah.
about it.
But it really has a trust issue where this game genuinely does ring you up and go, "You've got a warm gun. Maybe you should try and go to Iceland next." And I'm like, "Really? I wouldn't have thought of that one, mate. I wouldn't have picked up on that little nugget of wisdom. Thank you, little nerd." Um, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people sitting there going, "Oh, look at these cutscenes, blah 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 blah." It's not the cutscenes or the characters in particular that I like. I don't. Is it kind of corny and is it kind of not fantastic in terms of the writing? No, but that's not a deal breaker to me. I think there are far more fundamental issues with Metroid Prime 4 that aren't just here's random character McGee who's going to talk to you. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I don't.
help the
I'm not
fact
really that bothered by the guy, to
he's
be
in it for 20
honest. As far
minutes.
as
People were complaining
yeah,
about it. It was literally a 10-minute sequence of an escort and then
yeah,
he
like
was
the
gone again.
previews would have you think that this guy was following you around like he was Atreus or something. Which, if that were the
Mhm.
case, I would be a lot more upset because having a friend with you the whole time would make the kind of lonely feeling that Metroid games are supposed to have very oppressive, or very. It would be gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But no, and it's like I think people are latching on to stuff like that when really there are fundamental issues with this game that stop it from where I'm just sitting there and I'm going, why? Um, that are an actual issue, which is like, hey, why don't we actually focus on those instead of, you know, these minor inconveniences, which let's be honest here, right? It's like Nintendo games, when it comes to writing, don't have the greatest track record. There are a couple that have stellar writing, you know? Um, and even the ones that do have stellar writing don't necessarily have great performances, you know? The amount of lines in Xenoblade and Zelda where you sometimes are laughing and you're like, that's actually a really well written line, but the dialogue wasn't very well performed there, you know? It happens. There are actual fundamental flaws with this game that should really be taking conversational precedent. Um, the first one of these is the bike, which I do think is a misstep, and the desert area in itself feels like a completely different game. And the second part is the green gems, which I fundamentally believe is a major flaw with this video game. I don't know how much you know about this, Hunter, but it is a
yeah, yeah.
huge
The
flaw.
if it's kind of implied that I need to be paying attention to picking these up so that I can do the end, which is
Do you know how many you
I
need?
sure I sure hope I know, but I
It's
sure
it's
hope I
it's
know.
almost 100% of them.
Oh my god,
Yes.
that's annoying, but it's
Skill Up, the YouTuber who usually does a great job with his coverage of stuff like that, said he had to do 2 hours of grinding at the end of the game to get all the crystals because he just ignored them because he thought, oh, it's side content, I don't care. Um, to get to the ending, which is fundamentally stupid because these green crystals are stuck in this desert area, which I'm not gonna lie to you, feels straight out of a PS3 game and is not particularly fun at all. Um,
yeah, the desert and the crystals feel like a holdover from like the first build of the game that
100%. I feel like
they
this
mostly
game
threw out.
dude, this game feels to me, and it's like, again, I want to talk about the things that are impressive. I think visually it's impressive. The fact that on Switch 2, you do have the option for 120 FPS or 4K 60, and they both work great. Love that. The three control schemes are pretty cool. The fact that you can have the Wii style, that you can have the mouse clicker if you feel like being suicidal and using a Joy-Con on its side, which will probably give you carpal tunnel quicker than, God knows. You'll probably get carpal tunnel before Metroid Prime 5 comes out. Um,
At this rate,
Or you've got the hybrid, the gyro aim with the controller. There's so many control schemes here that work really, really well. Um, but yeah, it feels like Nintendo went, time's up. This is genuinely what the game feels like. It was like this, we've got to do it. It felt like there was at a point where it's like, get it done, get it done, because
yeah, it feels
it is
at
what it
times
is.
almost like they were like, okay, maybe we just prove that we can still kind of make one of these, and then we'll get it better the next time if they do another one. But
Yeah. Um, it's a very interesting video game. It feels like it was made. It's been in development for 8 years. It does feel like it because there are parts that are excellent, like the way that Samus feels great, like the environmental design, like the music, where you're just like, oh, this works great. Then you have the archaic leftovers, like everything in its nan needs scanning. The psychic abilities do not feel good. I'm yet to find a good
Yeah,
use for
I
them.
I would I was the psychic abilities. I was hoping for some kind of like uh the classic telekinesis stop or
Yeah.
something where it's, an enemy throws something at you and you like
That's what I was
stop it
expecting, was legitimately to
once
be like, you know,
you like it's
force Cal
BioShock
Kestis, Cal
thing.
Kestis,
Yeah.
grab something in the air and throw it back at them. What I wasn't expecting was, no, you need to go into ball form, then you need to hold the trigger to make your mine a special floaty mine, then you have to get out of ball form, press the X button to go into psychic mode, then hold the trigger to pick it up and then throw it. And I'm like, mate, by the time I have done all those steps, I could have spammed the RT button 15 times and killed the bugger. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel that great. It feels like, it's just like you'll come to a door and there'll be a purple gem and you have to press the X button to get the scanner open, press the L2 button to grab the gem and then pull it down with the right analog stick with the slowest animation that has ever been made. And you're just sitting there and you're going, what have I achieved here? The amount of lifts where it's like, nah, mate, you can't just go on the lift. You first have to press the scanner button, scan the button, then the lift comes on. And I'm just like, this isn't puzzle solving. This is just kind of tedium for tedium's sake. And I understand that Metroid Prime a lot of the time is scanning for environmental context, for looking for that, that subtext in the story. And I think it's great in the original Metroid Prime because you feel like you actually need to get a grip with the world. When it's just a straight line and I can't start the lift because I have to scan it first, it just feels a bit like,
Yeah, it's a little silly to tie the, scanner to moving thing. It's like those couple of segments in Final Fantasy Rebirth where like the Shinra facilities where the door was just stopped because the receiver was unplugged.
yeah.
It feels like that. It doesn't really it hasn't gotten my way yet because I do scan things like a psychopath, but
I try to
you
too.
know, I
I
can
do try
I
to,
can
but
I can understand how it would be annoying if you were just trying to move from one room to the next and be like, "What gives?"
it just feels it feels it's very much a Metroid Prime game. And what I mean by that when I say that is it very much feels like if you told me that this game came out 2 years after Metroid Prime 3, I would believe you. Because it does feel like a game ripped straight out of 2008, 2006. And I think fair play, you've gone for it, but there's just a lot here where I don't know, as someone who isn't attached to Metroid Prime, yes, I'm probably gonna keep, I'm in the middle of the ice world. I'm probably gonna keep playing for a little bit and see if it continues to, grab my interest. But this is not a world where I'm going, "Ooh, I'm interested to see what's happening." The bad guy is next to non-existent in this. This genuinely doesn't feel like, it's just grab the keys. I think that's an interesting concept, but they do nothing with it. Like I say, it's like,
Oh yeah, the general setup for the story I think is all right as far as like the cool looking alien race that's going extinct and they want Samus to like help preserve their knowledge to populate a different world eventually. I think is a decent enough setup.
and I like the classic 3D Zelda style idea of having like a hub world in the center and these 5 dungeons. That this is where I feel like it would have been excellent if it was, hey, this is where you need like the Breath of the Wild effect here, Hunter. Everyone, classic Metroid. Samus literally trips over a rock and loses all of her abilities within the first 5 minutes of the game. Wouldn't it have been cool if they gave you all the psychic abilities and everything from the start, and this was a Breath of the Wild situation where it was like 5 dungeons, you've already got the tools you need. Let's actually make it, an interesting maze and a labyrinth to actually figure out. Like that's what I would personally have appreciated, or at least a
Or
bit
even
more.
alternatively, I can understand where the classic 3D Zelda comparisons come from as far as like the broad structure of it being, hub world with
Mhm.
things to do. I feel like hypothetically, if since that flavor of Zelda has been missing for a while, like if a Metroid Prime or a Metroid game in general was designed with that kind of idea from the ground up, because I'm sure they just kind of happened upon this was how it was going to be at some point, not necessarily
Do you know what
that's
my
what they
bet
wanted to
is? Do
do
you know
at
what my
first.
bet is? Is they were just working on all sorts of different things, and they were like, we've got electric world, we've got woodland world, we've got fire world. We need a way to fit this all together, and they were just like hub and the 5
Yeah,
levels, and they probably patched it together with sellotape and glue.
but like I wouldn't be opposed to like Metroid Prime 5, the Metroid, some other 3D Metroid kind of taking that kind of approach to being an action game more similar to that than the Prime games were, since that's also a piece of like the Nintendo portfolio that's kind of gone right now. Having
Yeah,
another series take its place in a different way would be cool, I think, if they wanted to go that direction. But I think I think it would probably be I think it would be more fully realized if it was, designed that way from the beginning.
totally. Um, yeah, it's a hodgepodge of different ideas and concepts, and some of them work because they're good ideas and good innovation. Some of them work because it's the old Metroid Prime formula. Some of them don't, and it's like I can 100% see why this game has lined up where it has. Like there is stuff that I like about this game. There's stuff where I'm literally sitting there and I'm going, really, we're doing 3 separate racetracks back to back to back out of Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, like that genuinely did feel like a mini game out of Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I am just sitting there and I'm going, this is a Metroid. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what, like this isn't Metroid Prime, let alone it's not Metroid at all. Riding around on a motorbike through 3 flipping courses. Go like, can you do if you hold the boost button and then press B, you do the Akira slide. I'm like, that's cool. How about we actually, have a bit of a Metroidvania here? Is that a thing? Are we gonna do? No?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
This one was for Retro was like, all these complaining F-Zero fans, let's throw them a bone too.
Hey, dude, if it controlled well, I'd be like fair play, but it doesn't even control well. Um, yeah, it's interesting, dude. It's a real interesting game. I feel like in a year or two there's gonna be a Jason Schreier or a article by any journalist that's gonna go, here's what happened with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Because it's such an interesting game. Because it
Yeah.
is just a hodgepodge of parts where like I say, it feels like Nintendo was like, 8 years is enough. We need to get it out. I can see why they didn't
It's
make it a launch title. I can see why they put it in the December slot. It all kind of lines up now that we have the game in retrospect. Um,
yeah.
but there's good here. If
Game,
you are a big Metroid Prime fan, I think you will probably come out of it going, it's not as good as the originals, but you might find something that you like here. I wouldn't just go off of the internet hatred. I'd at least give it a go if it's up your street.
yeah. If you like Metroid, I don't think there's anything too egregious about this. Although I tend to be on a different wavelength than most of the Metroid fans that are out there.
I mean, it's not got anything on Dread. Like that's the thing is, it's like if you want a
Yeah, like
Metroid ass
it's
Metroid experience.
hilarious if you when you take into consideration that the one that was a surprise a couple of years ago that probably had the much shorter dev cycle.
And
Um,
hey, I
it,
mean,
it,
here's the thing: is the funny thing is as well is if you're new to Metroid, I don't even think that this is a good. If you were to say to me, "Oh, which is a better starting point, Metroid Prime Remastered or Metroid Prime 4?" They did such a good job with Metroid Prime Remastered, where it's not even where I'm going, "Oh, well, this one's newer, so it's going to be easier to get into." I genuinely would be sitting there and going, "No, from the 4 hours I played of Remastered and the 4 hours I played of this, fundamentally they're the same and the first one's better." So it's like it's still like
yeah,
it's not even got that going for it, it's not even got the Xenoblade 3 effect where it's like, oh, the other ones play a bit awkward, play this one. It's like it genuinely is it's a weird one. It's a weird one to categorize. Um, I don't envy anybody who had to review this game. I really don't, because, like I say, I can't fundamentally call it a bad game. I can't, because there's so much
No, it's
good in it. There is so much good in it. It's, but
that new suit is sick.
yeah.
It was funny too because for a minute when you have the psychic abilities before you get the new suit and it's just Samus with like the
Mhm.
regular suit and the purple accents, I'm like, I don't like that so much. Just because I think the green accenting works a lot better with that color scheme, but then you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the red and black suit and it really works visually.
Like I say, visually it looks great. It's one of the best looking Switch 1 games, that's for sure. Um, the music's awesome. I really do like the atmosphere of the desert is barren and boring, but the actual areas, once you go into the areas, I really do love the atmosphere and the soundtrack. I think that's fantastic. There's a
Yeah.
lot to love about it, and I wanted to go in going, okay, come on, you can do it. And I played that first area, and I was like, I think this is pretty
You know
good.
what? Maybe I can.
Maybe I can. And then you get to the second area, and you're like, I don't know. And then you get the bike, and you're like, oh no, please don't do it. It's hard. I don't know, but I think this game perfectly sums up this year for Nintendo. Is Yeah, of course, Metroid Prime 4 came out, and it was fine.
Good, but also pretty weird.
Could say the same about Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
Fundamentally good, very weird. Um, I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? We kind of had the bit of this conversation, last week, yesterday. I wish last week, because we were talking and we're like, Donkey Kong Bonanza really does feel like the only kind of slam dunk that Nintendo's had this year, and it still feels that way. It does. It sure does. Um, like I say, I think this is one of those games, ladies and gentlemen, that you're just gonna have to dip your feet in, play it for yourself.
See for yourself, which, I recommend doing that for most things that you have an actual vested interest anyway.
Oh, 100%. If you can afford it, of course, but also,
Yeah, yeah.
if you
You
can't,
know,
then there's definitely enough amber flags here to go, hey, maybe wait for a sale. I'm fortunate, and maybe I am being a bit more optimistic, Hunter, is because I pre-ordered this game 2 years ago on a random deal where I'm sure the retailer thought this game's never coming out, so I got it for like half price. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with playing a game for 5 hours for half price and going, hey, didn't love it, but hey, I had
was
enough
able to
fun.
buy the upgraded Switch 2 upgrade path and still uh, come
Dude,
out
we
in the positive.
dude, we were literally at the point where I bought the game and the Switch 2 upgrade pack, and I still think I was $20 under the actual price of the Switch 2 version. So I'm fine with that. I'm pretty happy with that. Um, and there is some
And you
good
got the
stuff.
better box.
Yeah, and the better box, dude. It's pretty good. It's pretty cool. Um, but this game plays great on Switch 1. That's not a reason to not pick it up. It runs at 60 FPS on Switch 1 as well. It's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. I like I say, I think the development story of this game is going to be equally as fascinating when it eventually sees the
Games
light
with
of
long
day.
cycles like that are always interesting to hear the story about
100%.
afterwards.
100%.
Or anything that has to restart is really interesting to hear about later. Like all the stories I've heard over the years about Devil May Cry 2
Yeah.
and how the first director of that game has still never been named because I guess it as an act of honor amongst the rest of the team, I suppose. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But like, what was that original Metroid Prime 4 like?
Yeah, I
Was
know.
Is some of that original Metroid Prime 4 in here still? Is it not? What is rushed? What isn't? What happened? What was happening with Retro beforehand? What happened? Because the's got to at
Were
least be
they
one missing
developing
game.
that Star Fox Racer?
Yeah, that never existed. But yeah, it's very interesting one, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, you might have to just try it for yourself, borrow a friend's copy, see what you like. If you're a fan of Metroid, I'd love to hear what you think about it. Um, It to me, this is a Nintendo 7. This is like a Nintendo 7 and Nintendo 8, you know? It's like it's good, but I think people after 8 years were expecting the second coming, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
hey ho, can't have them all, dude. What I will say though is, for the love of anything, please, for Metroid Prime 5, if you're gonna do it, make the combat a little bit less blooming tedious, for the love of anything, dude. I'd like running to an area, 3 people smash the window, kill the 3 people, another 3 people
One
smash
thing
the
I would
window.
have really enjoyed, and maybe this is just Dread having me wishing for things to be more like it, a
Mhm.
melee option of some description.
A parry, yeah. Something charges
Yeah.
into you, thwack them.
Yeah, or you just
Um,
wander a little too close and you like smack them
Give me
with
psychic powers.
anything.
Let me lift one of the little small guys up and bap, 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 in the face. Rip and tear. Let me
Yeah.
grapple hook. Give Samus a grapple hook is what I'm asking for. You know, like that's what. Where's the parry window? Where's the grapple hook? Um, you know, that's what I'm asking for. Where's the rip and tear? Where's Doom? That's what it should be, Hunter. Why don't they just make Doom? That's the goal for Retro Studios. Next time you're making Metroid Prime 4 Retro, just make Doom. You know, why not? Couldn't hurt. But yeah, do let us know if you've been playing Metroid Prime 4, what you're thinking about it. Fascinating little game. Very much so. This week's episode of the HGO Podcast is brought to you by Zombies Ate My Staff Sergeant. Now, Hunter, this book dares to answer the age-old question. What would you do in a zombie apocalypse?
Follow Hayden Steele as he finds his own answers to the question while he tries to survive the first night of a zombie outbreak on a military base. With plenty of gripping action and twists and turns along the way, you are sure to be on the edge of your seat from cover to cover.
Follow the link in the description down below to get your copy today. And big thank you to Brandon Knight for sponsoring this episode of the HGO Podcast. But now, we're going to spend the last little bit of our show talking about other games that aren't Metroid that we were playing in anticipation for Metroid, because Metroid came out at a very weird time, Hunter, where we had finished other things and we were just sitting there waiting, and it's like, you can't start anything too long because Metroid's coming around the corner. So we were kind of just twiddling our fingers, playing random stuff, trying to, you know, keep ourselves somewhat entertained. What were you playing in that little interim before Metroid?
So I had a whole week off of work prior to this past week here.
Something about you being
So I just,
thankful or something? Yeah, some cringe shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. Well, I got a couple days off for that, and then strategic use of vacation days to go with it.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Turn a
That's how I
5-day
usually.
holiday
That's how
into
I
a
usually
7-day
use them.
holiday.
Is
Yeah.
just extended. How I'm using the rest of them at the end of the
Dude,
month too.
why have a week off for 5 vacation days when you can have it off for 4 or 3? You know, you gotta play
Yeah.
the game sometimes.
And then I can use my remaining 7 to take 3 weeks off at the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
But yeah, so the first thing I played on my the holiday break there was Lost in Random: The Eternal Die, which is a spin-off sequel, a little bit of both, to Lost in Random, which is a game that came out back in 2021.
Yeah, it was a bit ago now.
Yeah, it was a cool little action adventure game with a Tim Burton-y kind of art style about you
The Tim Burton like.
adventuring through this. Yeah, adventuring through this crazy little world with your magical die.
Mm-hmm.
This one here is a follow-up that does not play at all like it, but follows up on the story. It's pretty much, yeah, it's a roguelike instead.
Yeah.
So, chalk it up for another one of those.
Add it to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, add it to the spreadsheet. I will give it credit for this one isn't just outright, trying to copy Hades like so many I've seen in the past couple of years have.
It is, isn't it? It's just what are you copying? And it's like it's like the checklist, isn't it? Is it Hades? No, then it must be Slay the Spire. You know, it's like it's 2 or 3 of them. It's 2 or 3.
Yeah. The thing about this one that I think is cool is pretty much the way that you you've got a couple of the typical roguelike things. There's like 4 areas, a couple of different weapons you can try out,
Mhm.
do that kind of thing. Um, NPCs that show up at the base camp or whatever. But the thing that I think is cool is the way that you like progress during your runs is you've got like 4, maybe 5 different damage types. There's a few different stats you can kind of try and level up via the different colors that you have of the relics you're picking up. Red is for your weapon damage, blue is for the dice roll damage, uh, purple was for conjurations, which were like these other special effects that you would get from your relics when you pick them up. And
Mhm.
then there was there was a fourth one that I'm forgetting. But the way that you actually like take your buffs and whatnot is you have like this 3 by 3 grid essentially with that you fit your different things into the slots. And if you line up 3 of the same color, you get a permanent stat upgrade of the corresponding color.
Mhm.
So, like making strategic plays with certain things that don't buff you um, when you have it equipped because they just get used up when you match the colors. And then using those to level up the stat you would like, and then taking things that actually do generate different different effects that you would enjoy. Like the run I finally got to work for me was essentially uh, a bunch of weapon damage upgrades um, with the color matching, and then a whole bunch of relics that generated extra damage sources. Like yeah, every couple of attacks, a wind slash will generate, or a rocket will shoot out, or something like that. Basically, just a bunch of more opportunity to damage things. That's what I was going for.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I am at that stage in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you, Hunter. I'm at that stage in my life where I think I'm rogueliked out. You know, where it's like,
That's a fair opinion to have because I'll be honest, like I roll my eyes a lot of the time unless I'm already got like a vested interest in what
mhm.
I've seen. I do roll my eyes. Like the ones that have like the roguelike modes on like the AAA games
It's the
now
worst. It's the
is
worst.
the
Make it
worst. I'm
stop.
like
Make it
I
stop.
don't care what kind of nice story you claim that is in God of War Valhalla. You can't make me.
Dude, we can talk about that in a second with something that I've been playing. But it also has
But
one of those. But we can't all be Northern Lion, right? We can't all live and die by the roguelike. I just don't like fair enough. If that's your jam, if that's what you live and breathe by, then Godspeed. Wish you nothing but the best. But yeah, it's like I'm just kind of like I love like, the original Lost and Random. It's like, cool. I'd play that at some point if I ever get the chance to. But then it's like, but do you want to play the roguelike kind of spin-off? No. And I don't want to.
yeah, yeah. And like I mostly just did that because I was already interested in the IP. I'd be really
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think it'll happen because I'm pretty sure the studio of origin folded or got bought out at
Mhm.
some point and the IP landed in someone else's hands.
Of course it did.
Hopefully some of the original team managed to stick with it. But I'd play a second one of those at some stage if they made it, and I played this, like I said, mostly just to, you know, in solidarity of my original interest. Like, I beat it the once, and I wasn't really compelled to try again. I was like, I tried the weapons out enough during my preceding or during my intermittent time playing it that I was like, I don't really feel super compelled to make sure I win with all of these.
Mhm.
Like the gameplay's good and I liked it while I was doing it. It's just one of those things where I'm very one and done with these unless it gives me
Yeah.
a reason not to be. Where
No.
you know, I didn't play AK's a second time through either, or uh, Dead Cells I left off, but mostly because I'm gonna get the one of the other versions at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But no, fair enough. I mean, speaking of sequels, and spin-offs to original games that are a bit different and maybe not for the better. Um, I've played roughly half of Ghost Runner 2. This is a game that came out a couple of years ago that I'm a big fan of the original Ghost Runner. I think that's a really fun game. You can beat it in like 6 hours. You play Ghost Runner Hunter? It's pretty fun.
I played the first half of the
Yeah.
first game, and then it was one of those things that like one of those I played it at my brother's house, and I think the save got swallowed by the cloud or something, and didn't really want to restart
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I've played through the first game twice. I platinumed it twice because I had that much fun. I played it on PS4 when it came out on PS4, and then like when the PS5 version dropped, I was just like, oh hell yeah, I'll just play through that again. That's it. Um, just a really fun platform. If you don't know, it's a first-person platformer. Think Mirror's Edge, but you're a ninja cyborg who has a samurai sword, and you die in one hit. So you have to like slash and dodge your way through these levels, and it's a lot of fun. And the second one came out, I think it was in 2023, if I'm correct. I think that sounds about right.
I think it
Um,
was, yeah.
and I was like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually. And it's like it's a plus game. I own it on Epic on Steam because it's been given away for free that many bloody times. So I was like, wait for Metroid Prime, give it a go. And this is definitely a game where it's like very much sequelitis, where it's trying to be bigger, but for all the wrong reasons. Like,
Oh no.
it's like, it's got a hub that you go to at the end of every level with a load of people to talk to because of the narrative. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, do you guys not realize that the loop of this game is I want to be ninja, I want to stab people. I don't care about the story of this game. I really don't. I didn't care about the story of the first game. I'm just going around slashing, slicing and dicing and seeing how many people I can kill without dying. And this game's like, no, hub world where you have to talk to everybody
Yeah,
and
that seems like the first game, like I don't think the story was especially anything to write home about, but they did a decent
no.
enough job at like telling some of it to you while you were the general premise of big tower that you have to climb out of is compelling enough on its own. And
Yeah,
then they
yeah.
were telling you all the extra stuff in between, which was
Yeah.
I think fine. I think breaking that up to go to a hub world to, or whatever was
What
it
it is,
seems a
that's
bit
yeah.
silly.
So yeah, they give you that. There's more abilities. They've given you a block button now, so you can like do other stuff. And the levels are longer when they don't. Like again, it's like what makes a good platformer. What makes Mirror's Edge still one of the greatest platformers ever made is the fact that every Mirror's Edge level is roughly about 10 minutes, if that. If you're quick, you can do it in like 5 or 6, and that's what's really cool about Mirror's Edge. Whereas this game, I'm sitting there and it's like, you've just beaten level 3. That took you 25 minutes. And I'm like, what? Like, no, I don't like this. You've got a mission where, um, it's like, oh yeah, there's 4 different things you need to do, and you can do it in any order, but it's like, and I'm like, didn't ask for this. They had a motorbike, Samus Aran syndrome, dude. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Oh no.
why are you adding motorbikes to these video games? Like, this isn't not needed in the slightest. There's a roguelike mode where it's called Rogue Runner, of course it is. But it's like you have to get through these 5 stages, and it's like you have to pick your path through these different things, and some of them are combat challenges, and some of them are parkour, and you'll get different upgrades based on whatever. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, who asked for this? Who asked for that? And I'm just like, sometimes you just want more of the same. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of times where developers sit there and they're like, we have to do bigger, we have to do this, we have to do that. And I'm like, I would have been perfectly happy if you'd just done the same again, but a little bit more polished and, a couple of new moves. That would have been cool. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't need a motorbike. I don't need a roguelike mode. I don't need a block button so that you have even more stupid enemies that have gimmicks where you have to do 360s around them and fucking yeet you know what I mean, where they're just like coming out of random gimmicks. So I played half of it. I will finish it at some point soon, but I am just sitting there and I'm going, you know what? I think the first game was just a better execution of this concept. Um you leave the tower and stuff like that in this game. There's an open world level, and I'm like, who asked for this? Who asked
The
for it?
the remark about the one level or, a level taking 20 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
Very much. I was like, "Oh no, the crash forwardization of it."
Dude, legitimately. It's like it's like, it's like they played Mirror's Edge, and then they played Mirror's Edge Catalyst that was an open world that had no structure to it, and they're like, "Hey, that's pretty cool. Shall we do an open zone level?" I'm like, "No, that's not the lesson you should take from this. Like, don't do that." Um, but yeah, it's fine. I think the first game is better. I don't like this one as much. I will finish it because um I would like to get the platinum so I can complete my collection of Ghost Runner platinums. But also, if a Ghost Runner 3 is ever announced and released, I've probably had my fill where I'm like, okay, I understand what you're trying to do with this franchise. I bid you adieu. It's been real, but I'm kind of over it. Um, I'm also neo sci-fi, cyberpunk aesthetic, kind of over that as well, to be honest, at this point, where I'm just like, bro, how many futuristic Neo Tokyos or whatever do we need in life, you know? How many do we need?
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of them that do a lot of the same thing.
How many do we need? Do we? No. Um, so yeah. That's my little experience with Ghost Runner. Speaking of ninjas.
Yeah, I picked up Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. This is one that's been on my list of like things I want to try before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was pretty solid. This was my first Ninja Gaiden game, which is especially galling because like the 3D games are like part of the holy trinity of good hack and slash series
Yeah.
or whatever. But I've never. They were on Xbox originally, so I never got the chance to play them really. And trying to unearth what version of which game to play is a chore of its own. So, um, yeah. But picking up Ragebound here to get the 2D part of the experience, this game is pretty solid as far as being a cool action platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Very uh, it, to you, it's funny, like just as similar conceptually kind of games there. Shinobi came out. It's fun how they take two different approaches at going for similar kind of things. Shinobi is very much more combat oriented as far as all the stuff it's got going on there. Ninja Gaiden is way more about staying on the move. Stopping to fight everything probably isn't the best use of your time. You mostly want to just kind of hit the things that are glowing for the hyper boost, and then use that to extend your combo onto the next thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. And I think they do a decent enough job at making it feel good to, get into a flow as far as moving from thing to thing. I feel like some of the boss fights, once they actually lock you into combat, I do feel like it's a little weaker as far as that concerned,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not too bad. They have a move it's what's called the guillotine boost, which is essentially the Cuphead parry. You jump and the thing's glowing blue or whatever, and you can basically bounce on the attack, and then you'll have a supercharged counterattack
Mm-hmm.
effectively. And I thought that was pretty solid as far as you get other attacks as like ranged options and stuff that you can use. There's a lot of stuff you can buy from the store to experiment with. I didn't really have enough time to try out all of it in the runtime of the game,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, very solid little action platformer. I fairly challenging. I don't think I would doubt it's as hard as the uh reputation of the originals. I don't truly know yet, but
Yeah.
I'll try those out sometime. I think they're on NSO.
Eh, why not? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting to see Sega come back, try some of these older titles once again. Um, we'll see how that trend continues. We'll see how it goes. Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi.
I don't
What?
think yeah, I don't think Ninja Gaiden is a
Oh,
Sega
it's not.
thing.
Why is it? Is it? Wait, which one?
Shinobi is the one you're
Shinobi
thinking of.
Sega. Which one's Ninja Gaiden then?
Yeah.
It's Ninja Gaiden.
Koei Tecmo.
Koei Tecmo. It is Koei Tecmo. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you'll play
I
like
again.
Neo or Rise of the Ronin, and you'll always get like a costume for Ryu somehow.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got my ninjas confused. Um.
Yeah, yeah, it's
As
Fair
someone who
enough.
does
There's
not
been a
play
lot.
any of these kinds of games, it is very hard to keep track of which ninja belongs to which company. I apologize. Um,
Capcom should take this as a cue to bring back Strider.
I don't even know what that is, but please do not. Whatever that is, don't. Thank you. Um, do you want to wrap it up with Armored Core?
Oh yeah, that's another one that I've finally had the occasion to play. I picked this up earlier this year, but I think it was right around the time that like Doom came out, so I didn't get to actually start it
Yeah.
until earlier this week. But Armored Core is as good as I was led to believe it is. The thing that really impresses me about uh, this game is that they don't normally when you're controlling something huge,
Hmm.
it's slow and tedious to actually move around.
Yeah.
They managed to make it, you know, I like moving around in Armored Core 6. I think it's fairly enjoyable to just kind of fly around for the first little bit I had. I was just kind of doing donuts with my uh, mech while it was boosting, and it was fairly enjoyable. I think it's very impressive that they managed to do that without sacrificing the scale of what you're moving through. I think everything still does feel big and grandiose in all of the obnoxious ways that you would expect a mech game to be without being slow and stupid like say those giant demon segments of Bayonetta 3,
Hmm.
for example.
Yeah.
Um the actual combat I enjoy quite a bit. The level of variation you can do with your loadouts and stuff is a lot of fun. I do like experimenting with the stuff they give me. There are things that I have fallen back on as just old reliables. Really do like the pulse blade, the melee option they give you near the start. It's been a great one, but
Hmm.
um, uh, I've settled so far on the very silly setup of recently. They gave me shoulder Gatling guns, and also picked up the just Gatling guns you can hold on your hands. So I've got like shit. I'm just rolling with press all four buttons to
The
make
quad
thing
Gatling
die
gun? Hell yeah, dude.
in 2 seconds. And it's not the most ammo efficient thing in the world, I bet, but usually you can manage to get to the resupply or the boss fight and then die when you inevitably run out of ammo, and then it will refill it for you.
Nice.
Um, Before that, I was rolling with I had Gatling guns. I had the double Gatling gun set up, and then I used those to like stagger, and then I just had the tinier machine guns in this waiting in the wings as far as something I could switch to. That was like my singular boss fight loadout that I was doing. It's not very good for missions, I don't think, because of again the ammo inefficiency. But yeah, like the only minor complaint I would have is that uh I feel like it's hard to parse sometimes where the damage you're taking is coming from. With like I had a boss fight I was doing. It was just shoots a hailstorm of bullets at you
Hmm.
and whatnot. And trying to avoid it'd be like, it's one of those things where if you don't if you don't have to redo it, you don't really care that you're taking some chip damage here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, once you do have to try it a couple of times, it becomes one of those things like, okay, what do I do to not get hit by this? And you can get hit by it less, but you can never like just fully avoid something and still be able to like manageably fight it as well.
Hmm.
So it was one of that's a case of, oh well, maybe I should have considered bringing a shield with me. Uh, that was a bit of I guess, a oversight on my part for not buying one because shields are for losers. But,
True.
you
True.
know,
That's why Dark Souls
it
smells
was
and Bloodborne's pork, dude. That's what they say.
yeah,
That's what the
exactly.
kids say.
Uh, but, you know, I do think that, uh, that was just one particular thing that kinda cropped up while I was trying a couple of bosses was it's not I don't have a super great way to mitigate all of the damage I'm, taking here, or at
Hmm.
least like sometimes it's like I don't know what it was about it that I did better in certain cases, which is always one of those confounding feelings where it's like I'm glad I did it, but also what did I do better this time? I had that with
Yeah.
my first run of like Final Fantasy Remake a couple of times where, you know, you'd go into a couple of just regular fight encounters and it would mess me up, and then I'd respawn and do something different to the point where it was a non-issue.
Yeah, it happens all the time, dude. It happens all the time. Turn-based RPGs are a lot like that. There were a lot of fights in the latter half of Expedition 33 where I legitimately was like, I did nothing different here, yet the outcome was completely different. Where I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, what did I do differently? Legitimately, what did I do differently? It's like I haven't learnt the parry timing or anything like that in this. I'm like, what is it? What's happening? I don't know. But okay, fair enough. Thank you.
But yeah, Armored Core is really good. Oh, very fun action game. I'm eager to get back to it probably once I finish Metroid.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because it's like like I say, I'll probably go back and finish Ghost Runner. We'll see if Metroid keeps my interest for any longer than it already has. Um, but yeah, I need a game, dude. I need something to sit down and actually sink my teeth into and be like, good time, good time. Where
Yeah.
currently I just kind of, I feel it happens, you know. I feel like, you know, you're just going through the motions, you know. I'm just playing a game and I'm going, that's okay. And then you go to the next one, and you're like, that's okay. And then you go to the next one, and you're like, that's okay. I'm
Yeah.
in a real not finishing games mood at the moment. I'm in a real play a game for 3 hours, go, I've had my fill. How long's the rest of it? 17 hours more? Nah, that's enough for me. Thank you though. And you know what? I'm starting to get to that point in my life. I don't know if it's the big 28 hunter. I think that's okay. I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, use if you use that mood to like uh you know, you've got a bunch of things that you've had or whatever that you're like halfway interested in playing, but you
Mhm.
don't know. Use this to find out.
I think it's a really healthy mindset to get halfway through a game and go, I'm not jiving with this, and value your time more than the $20 that you spent buying the game.
Yeah.
And I think that, hey, a lot of you guys out there on the internet screaming, shouting, it's like with these with Metroid Prime 4 and these green crystals. Is it a valid critique? 100%. Is it terrible game design? 100%. But also, if I get to the end of the game and I'm like skill up and I have to go and do 2 hours of gem grinding in the desert, close application, youtube.com, watch the ending there, good stuff. You know what I mean? I value that 2 hours, Hunter. I value that 2 hours. Um,
Yeah.
I just think it's a healthy mindset. You don't have to finish everything. You don't have to play everything. Um, unless you're me, then I must finish everything and I must play everything.
Yeah, it's one that it's funny how like fast and loose I will be with that sometimes, where, you know, like I mentioned earlier, played and liked the half of Ghost Runner I played, but didn't ever feel like
Mhm.
restarting it. All Soul Aside is a much less good game, and I made myself finish it.
Sometimes you do it out of spite. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do it out of spite where it's like, I despise you and I just want to get to the end so that I can get all my hatred
Say
out.
that
You
I
know what I
conquered
mean?
you.
Yeah. That I beat you and I have fully experienced the atrocities that this contains. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's fine, and I think it's valid, and I think that, you know,
As long as you're
you
not
can,
doing it with like everything you play, it's not a problem.
yeah,
Like I enjoy
100%.
most of the games I pick up. So
I'm just looking here real quick. I'm like, is there any recent games? It's like, um, Lost Records is a bit like that. You know what I mean? Whereas like that final session, I was like, dude, if I had any semblance of a spine, I would stop right here because this is doing my head in. And I was like, no, I will conquer you. I will
yeah,
beat your
I feel like if
terrible
I had
narrative.
taken a I feel like if I had taken a break at all during the second tape, that might have happened, but
Yeah,
pretty sure it was a one sitting affair for me.
little one
And
sitting Andy.
yeah, where,
Bless.
you know, and then the last part ended on a note that left me interested enough. Otherwise, I probably tape two probably would have been a non-starter if it hadn't been.
Oh, the joys of episodic adventures, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, with that, that has been our show. Been a shorter one this week, but I hope we make up for it with the extended episode you got last week and what I'm sure will probably be a slightly extended episode next week, because the Game Awards ones do tend to be a bit chunkier.
If not, our own award show is always pretty chunky too.
And I mean, if not, hey, if you prefer these being an hour, I don't know. I am, again, growing up, Hunter, is realizing that sometimes less is more. Because it's like, you know, back when we started this podcast, I used to listen to a load of podcasts that were like hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. I'd be like, this is great. It just never ends. This is great. And then now I sit there and I listen to podcasts that are like 35 minutes. I'm like, this is great, because that's like, you know, that's a car journey. You know, that's going to the store. That's going to do, you know, something like that. That's pretty cool too. Let us know. What's the perfect length of a podcast for you personally? And I want to know your journey, your destination, your social security number. Leave it all in the comments down below. We'd really appreciate it. I'll put our links on screen right now. Like I said, next week we are living alive. It is the end of the 12 days of Jeffmas. Jeff Keighley will show up on stage, probably insult Hunter at least 12 times, and then leave.
Yeah, probably.
And we'll be here to go through the ups, the downs.
It's okay, I'll insult him 13 on the show the following day.
It's true. And then, yeah, we're well and truly into the holiday season. Like I say, Game of the Year stuff is up on the website starting yesterday. Go check Cal's list out. Mine will be out this Sunday. Hunter's the following. And then on the podcast will be our, you know, main Game of the Year show near the end of the year. So, hey, look forward to all of that. Right, then. We'll leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. But until then, have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.